8 folks now residing at the Dominica Grammar School, which is now a shelter for homeless people or persons who are not comfortable living in their residence. They said that they are quite satisfied with Mr. Emmanuel Hixie Salamat, who is now the former shelter manager of the Dominica Grammar School. According to those who live there, they are quite satisfied with the way in which he has continued to render his services to the people who are at the shelter. Unfortunately, he has been removed from his position. Miss Deborah Grell and Mr. Judd is now in charge of the shelter. They too said that they have learned a lot from Mr. Emmanuel Hixie Salamat and that they will continue to do the fine work that he has been doing.
I've been there before I started today. I had to stay there for 8 days before I start so I could really understand what is going on. Because I'm an artist, you know, and I have to understand what's going on. I decided I wanted to help because I myself, it would help me as well. You know, it will put comfort in my heart and my mind to know that at least people are being taken care of in that kind of situation. So that's why I'm here, and that is why Hicks is here. He has been going through a lot. I actually really commend him because I, as a young man, I myself wouldn't stand for those things. I would want them out immediately. Anybody who is causing hazards to people's lives who cannot help themselves, I would have them removed.
Unfortunately, there are many needs that they say that needs to be addressed. 3 of the important needs: one is sugar, the other is removing the garbage that is now very evident on the grounds, and supplying the area with adequate food and water to cater to the persons who live there and those who come on a continuous basis for their meals.
Be careful, they have to keep themselves clean, always use gloves when necessary, always use sanitizers, all those things. So we need those disinfectants and these sanitizers and anything to keep people clean and healthy, or could stop flies and mosquitoes and all these things, especially that is just a mess. That doesn't make sense.
We have no food.
No food.
We have no water.
No water.
We need transaction. We need ration.
The position there in the kitchen is not right.
Convenient.
It's not right.
It's unfair for us.
We have got food. It's the corned beef and 2 crackers.
And rice, plastic rice.
And crackers.
They also say that they have a need for a cylinder so as to facilitate the smooth and easy running of the kitchen. 2 of the volunteers who are now kitchen assistants, they say that they are trying their best to do with whatever they have received to feed the number of persons who are now living at the shelter and those who come there on a daily basis for their meals.
I have always done a good job at the shelter since from the day after the hurricane or even before the hurricane. I have fed my people here free meals every day with a hot thing in the morning. Whatever way means necessary to get, we have our majority is elderly people and we have sorted it out. But since then we have done everything in our powers to keep the people as safe and as comfortable as possible.
Dissatisfied with the way in which a lot of persons are simply being dropped off at the shelter with no assessment, many of them being elderly folks who have various ailments. They are requiring that a nurse or a doctor be brought to the shelter more often than usual so as to assess the patients that are there, considering that they have very limited knowledge of medicine and dealing with the various ailments that persons are now dealing with.
Even if they palm us off with people that shouldn't be here. We have had an occasion where they brought a guy with a catheter, a blooded catheter from the hospital. And I even went on the radio to try to get them to get him or get some nurses and so on to see him. He's there still now. I've settled him in a common room with everything, with a wheelchair. I got a wheelchair for him and he's brekkie and he's all right.
I have in my hand, this is a shelter petition. It reads, we the undersigned would like to appeal to the executive management of the hurricane shelters to keep Mr. Emmanuel Hixie Salamat on as shelter management. 50 out of the 60 people who reside at the shelter has signed this permission asking that Mr. Salamat remains as the shelter management. It reads, Mr. Salamat, in our collective opinion, has been exemplary in his work and in his caring and benevolent attitude. It has helped us to cope with this extremely traumatic period of our lives. We spoke to Mr. Salamat, who claims that after he had someone who posed danger to the rest of the people who reside at the shelter thrown out, that he feels like he's the one being on trial, whereas the person who posed the danger is simply being given a slip in the wrist.
Up till an hour ago, I was the shelter manager for this grammar school shelter. So for quite a while, we were terrorized by this guy, and we thought we could get help to remove him, but we didn't. In fact, I was the one they were pressuring to be moved instead of him. The residents here signed a petition. 50 of them, of the 62 people I had at the moment, signed. The others are children. The adults signed, except him and his girlfriend, signed a petition saying I should not leave. Yet the people never talked to one of them. They were here. They had meeting with me.
This is CBN4 News, Marisa Stedman reporting.